Hello, Homo sapiens! Today, we're going to study antibiotics. Antibiotics are one of the most important medical discoveries on the planet. They have prevented millions of deaths around the world. But how did this life-saving medicine come to be? Well, it all started because of an accidental contamination of a petri dish. So, it was 1928, and a person named Alexander Fleming was studying bacteria when, accidentally, fungal spores from a certain mushroom come and contaminate the petri dish. This mushroom was called Penicillium notatum, and Alexander observed that the area around where the mushroom had contaminated, there was no bacterial growth. What you would see on a normal petri dish that's left out and collecting bacteria would be a lot of little circles and lines and stuff, but around the mushroom, there were no lines or circles. This prompted Alexander to research about what is happening. And turns out the mushroom, Penicillium, is secreting a special substance, a toxic substance, that kills off the bacteria. And so, because the fungus is named Penicillium, Alexander dubbed the name of the toxin Penicillium, becoming the first antibiotic. So, how does it work? Well, in bacteria have a cell wall, similar to plants but not really. This cell wall is constantly being produced, destroyed, and reconstructed. When the penicillium comes into contact with the cell wall, it inhibits one of the molecules that's responsible for keeping the cell wall stable. And since the cell wall is constantly being destroyed and reconstructed, and it's not able to be reconstructed, so the bacteria just destroys itself basically. The fungus also secretes another chemical that further accelerates damage to the cell wall. This double attack is extremely effective against most bacteria, and it will cause the cell wall to crumble and bacteria parts to spew out. We take antibiotics really frequently, so why aren't we dead? The reason why we aren't dead from eating antibiotics is because human cells function differently from bacterial cells. While bacterial cells have a cell wall, the human cells don't have a cell wall. Instead, they have a thin layer of gel surrounding them. So we're safe. But as the rate of using antibiotics increases, so does the bacteria's defense against antibiotics. So, it's World War II, and people have started to try to use this penicillin to stop infections, and they succeeded. They extracted pure penicillin from the mushroom. But now, we take antibiotics without thinking twice. In World War II, it was a life-saving medicine. But now it's just, I'm gonna take it. Like it's something that happens every day. Well, the bacteria are also fighting against antibiotics. They're fighting to defend themselves to become immune to the antibiotics. And this defense is happening on both sides. As the bacteria increase their defense, the antibiotics increase their potency. The bad thing about antibiotic potency is that when it enters the human body, it doesn't only kill the bad bacteria, but it also destroys the population of good bacteria in your small intestines, which is why some people get really bad diarrhea after they eat antibiotics. This is also why doctors have a very strict antibiotic protocol, which is you must finish antibiotics and you must only take antibiotics when you are asked to. The reason for this is that if you take antibiotics and you don't complete the dose, then some of the bacteria that have an immunity to the antibiotic will grow and reproduce, and that will be bad because that same antibiotic will become completely ineffective. And you cannot take antibiotics without getting a prescription because of the same thing. If you use antibiotics too much, then the bacteria that is supposed to die will just develop an immunity and become what we call a superbug. Basically, something that is really hard to kill with antibiotics. And this is why taking antibiotics is so strict. But it's also why antibiotics are a life-saving medicine.